shuffle it in.
Oh, yeah.
All right. We'll call the meeting to order. The Planning Commission, January 13th meeting. He's the owl. Who in?
54.
There we go. Yeah, just heads. Awesome. I like it. Boo!
It's in person.
It'll stay there, but the wide one on the top gets everyone and then it cuts to whoever's.
Oh. Super high tech. All right.
Last time it was focused on me, so I'm just glad it's not me.
Thanks, pal.
Showing the love.
It has a favorite, I guess. All right. Do we have any additions or deletions?
Not currently, no.
No. All right. Minutes approval. I have not looked at the most recent version, so I say
Iteration of-
we'll just table that till Pam comes back.
Okay.
Is
But
that-
I'm sure she has a note on it.
Yeah. So we'll table it.
So there should be some minutes from the 2 meetings before the last one. That would be, what, the 16th of December
That
and
was the one that I printed out, so I wanted us to kind of go over.
then the one before that, which was what, the 20-something of November,
Okay.
I think. Not 100% sure.
All right. I'll make sure that I email everybody.
Still working on the ones from the last meeting.
Copy.
That's my 100% my fault.
No worries. All right, visitors and concerned citizens.
Perfect.
Onward.
Pace. I like this moving right along.
Moving on along. All right, old business. Review and discuss budget and IT services. And Tina is not here, and Pam was kind of working with her.
Did you happen to get a chance to talk to the girl, Steve, that you were thinking?
I haven't been able to get in touch with her. I did have a brief conversation with Tom Cavanaugh about it. And he said he was aware of our discussion we had at the previous meeting.
Okay.
But we didn't get into any great depth on that.
Okay. All right.
All right,
May I ask what's the issue?
Getting someone to take over writing the minutes.
Oh, okay.
Sheila Selden has done it for the town of Peru. I was hoping to run into her. I usually see her once a week at the transfer station, and I didn't
We
see
have
her.
hired someone to.
Well, that was the other thing too.
I could finish. We hired someone to do select board minutes. I did ask her if she could be here for this, but she had a previous thing. She couldn't be at our select board meeting either. But I'm going to see if we can get her to start doing that right away. We do have money in the budget for it. And we are increasing the budget from 3,500 or 4,500 to 60 some odd hundred for next year to help with that. I'll see if we can get her here for the upcoming meetings. We did recommend, we did have a meeting where someone with an AI program was able to put together some really good minutes for a meeting, so that might be something else to experiment with.
Yeah. We need to keep it with up to Pam's snuff, so.
yes, it has to be.
I don't know if AI is going to do that.
Well, that's why I printed it out. I emailed it to her so we can kind of take a look and see.
Really pleasantly surprised.
It's actually scarily, surprisingly
And that's
cool.
And that's what this is that you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's two different ones, but
Okay.
yeah. So it's the same meeting,
This
just
is 16.
AI versus Steve.
Steve likes the AI.
Babe, the big blue ox, and the steam cutter.
I think think right now, a lot of folks would probably be okay with that.
All
All right,
right.
so that's good.
And so we're gonna, I mean, Pam's working to find out how.
Yeah, that's
So,
fine.
cool. And thank you for being here. On to B, review and discuss the future grants with the town administrator. I think Pam really wanted to be on this, so make sure we get everything to talk about.
I'm not exactly sure what you want to know, but the municipal planning grants are open right now, and so it is an opportunity for towns to pursue these grants.
When will those be paid out?
Will they be paid out?
Yeah.
We have to apply first.
No, but
And,
yeah.
I don't know if here's some.
March.
I think it was like a deadline of end of March or something.
Yeah.
This year.
Award decisions will be April 30th. And so once you get an award, then soon thereafter, they give you all the, the grant agreements, you just go through all that. But yeah, I did run off a copy of the grant program, which I can give to you. And so far as what has happened in the past, unless you already knew it, in fiscal year 19, we got $22,000. And that was for the zoning bylaw update, which went quite a bit further than that, as you know. In fiscal 21, we got the North Village Master Plan grant. That was also $22,000. And then in fiscal 23, the South Village Master Plan grant. Those were all initiatives of the Planning Commission. And a lot of that was written by the Planning Commission chair at that time, and I helped out on code building as well. So there's statutory requirements that you need to get done. The select board has to approve several pieces of it, including just, whatever topic you want to be going forward with. But it is a process that we're not unfamiliar with. And then the municipal planning grant program staff are just great. And they help you through the process really easily.
So the fastest, it's a 60-day process at the fastest pace potentially, if we're trying to sneak something in for the 30th.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too late to put a project and apply for it. But I can give you this, and it's on the town. I think I sent to you the email.
I read through it.
Okay, good. So you have the link to it.
Yes.
Yeah, it was like a bunch of links and stuff, and I went through a few and haven't fully read it, hold it, so.
And we have copies of previous applications that we put in, so you can see what the format is.
Okay,
And
yeah.
we can, you could just copy and paste some of the things where, they ask us about the town plan and that sort of thing. You can just copy and paste what we've done in the past. A, because it's easier, and B, to be consistent, so they don't go back and say, well, what happened here?
Okay, that would be awesome.
In your opinion, I think all of them were relatively fruitful as far as information is concerned. Would there be something that you would be on the top of your mind as far as moving forward? Like if you were to apply for a grant or something, is there something that you would?
I honestly didn't put any thought into that, and it's generally planning commission's efforts that, things that really, what do you want to do is what it comes down to. What, as a planning commission, what are your interests? There's things, you can't go back for another zoning bylaw update. They pay for that.
Right. The coupon expired.
Get through on that.
Every other kind of,
Do you know, off the top of your head, other things that we could try to go for? I don't know. I mean, we have a lot on our plate anyway.
Right, well,
but
yeah.
it's yeah.
I figured since you had so much exposure to it, there may have been something, a pet project thought that.
He's been so busy.
Right.
When were you gonna do the town plan? Because it's due next year, right?
Yeah.
Once we're done with the zoning.
Yeah, we felt like it was so hand in hand.
I would just say, you can have the same problem with town plans as
bylaws.
with these bylaws, you can get consultant fever and lose touch with reality.
Well, I think that's what we're kind of, I don't know if I don't think that we're going to be able to do anything for this year. I mean, under the time crunch. I mean, unless there's something sweet and short and something,
I mean-
I don't know, yeah.
Like Will was saying, maybe we should be concerned with, because right after the bylaws, we're pretty much going after the town
Town
plan.
plan.
I mean, that's, seems like that's gonna be the case, and I don't know how we would write that up right now, but maybe in another month.
Yeah,
I just take it from the planning process, it's kind of backwards. Go
Yeah,
through the town plan, and then you have.
we're totally doing this backwards.
To help implement.
Right.
So I think what brings up good point to
So-
go for the town plan is an easy one
Yeah.
for them to approve also.
Okay,
So for my
I'll
part.
go down that.
And we did talk about getting through the bylaws and then tackle the town plan. Right now, we have 2 members that are on the FEMA, I call it the Going Forward project,
recovery.
which
yeah.
is gonna drive a lot of planning
Oh, for
in the
sure.
future. And I don't know that we want to get committed to doing anything with a grant, doing something else on top of that. I think we want to focus on that. That's my feeling. I think we're going to see some stuff come out of that that's going to really give us a way forward in thinking about downtown Londonderry, about downtown South Londonderry, about what is going to be the most likely in the
Realistically world?
in the scheme of path of least resistance. Where can we do stuff that's going to, and I don't know, it seems to me like if we did go after some kind of planning grant, we'd almost be like duplicating the process in a way.
Well, I mean, the town plan is next and is due.
There's a due
so-
date, so we gotta,
Like, if we're waiting for FEMA to give
Well,
us
we
a
can
direction.
revisit the
really-
town plan anytime,
Yeah,
you know.
just
I think-
accept it as is and,
Well, we just.
I think we were just gonna update it,
We gotta
really.
update some census numbers, we gotta, you know, there might be a couple other things we gotta tweak, but, my thoughts are that, just like Will said, we got grant fever. You know, the last few years, it seems like there's 1 or 2 going on all the time. And some of the results of some of those haven't been, you know, it depends who you talk to, but some, you know, some people have to hold their nose over some of these things. And maybe it's time to take a break from it. I mean, it's nice to have money to spend on stuff, but do we need to do that?
yeah,
That's my opinion.
yeah. Well,
I mean-
we'll poke at it more as we move forward. I just figured since we've had a professional here.
Yeah.
Well, you have another professional here as well. But, you know, I think Winter Regional Commission has offered to be of assistance with as well, and they're really professionals when it
Yeah.
comes to planning world, so I would take advantage of whatever they can offer.
Okay.
All right,
Just, here's the, that
awesome.
document, and then those are just the figures of,
Of the previous ones?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome, thank you. And I'll scan this and
Send it
give this to
along.
everybody.
Wow.
All right.
Think we can cut you loose.
Careful driving,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, onward to zoning bylaws. Dun, dun, dun.
3019, is that where we,
3107.
3107? Man, I think the letters got smaller again.
I know, right?
It's the lighting in here, it's really pretty awful. Yeah. So, is everybody on
No,
3107?
okay, 3107, hold on.
I think
What's the theme?
Signs.
Signs.
signs everywhere. Low hanging fruit in other people's opinions.
Is that technically page 51? I'm still looking at the old one.
Some, I have,
46 is in mine.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, no,
And
yeah.
that's the one that's
Nope, 49, yep.
heavily crossed out, Xed out.
Yeah.
Yep,
page
okay.
26. Does everybody have the right one? 'Cause somehow I ended up with 2 of these and they're not.
Not the same.
No, they are.
Oh.
But I have these ones
Oh.
Oh, maybe,
of 32.
maybe that's where mine went.
Oh, probably. Probably. Well,
You
but
still need one.
Yeah, that one's like
Okay.
the revised.
This is the revised one.
What we've pushed through
Okay.
so far.
Yeah, that looks pretty simple.
Okay. All right.
Onward.
Yes. Yes.
6.
So that first paragraph, I didn't find much to like about it. I think the sign section should start with a landowner must obtain a zoning permit before any sign is erected, enlarged, or replaced. That simplifies it. You know, up here she's talking about compatibility with the
Right.
small town character, which I think we could lose. On the next page, I added banners may be hung over a public right-of-way with the permission from the select board or V-Trans as appropriate. I made a note here about ice machines, propane dispensers, whether they should be considered signs if they're mostly signs on the outside, but I think not. I don't think many people are doing that.
Not anymore, no.
And this is the exemption that's currently in the bylaws for historic cool signs. Is it existing signs which may not otherwise meet requirements of this section may be allowed to remain upon a finding that the sign has distinctive artistic and/or cultural merit, which will contribute significantly to the character and the area of the community.
Is there an example of that?
What's that?
What's an example of that?
Well, I hate to use a specific example because this is
The guy up
A
north.
source plot?
no, the cheese sign at Taylor Farm. It's
Gotcha.
cool, it's funky, everybody takes pictures of it.
Right,
We're not gonna hold it the same standard.
right. Gotcha.
The old truck.
Yeah. I would like to add a section on when people put a bunch of signs for a business without a permit, spread them all over. We,
Like the temporary, the junky signs with the,
Yeah.
I hate those things.
well,
The yard signs?
The little like
The sandwich boards or the yard signs?
No, like,
Like the political yard signs?
builder
kinda?
signs, I think you're talking
builder
about.
signs or car, like
Yeah, the
power
yard-
washing signs.
Yeah, the yard signs.
we can make it where I can remove them, not if they're on the property of where the house is being built on, but we can make it so I can remove them from the plaza.
Or telephone poles or,
Yeah,
Nothing's allowed on telephone poles, right?
right.
Because of nails and stuff, and when they gotta climb, they could get injured.
I have occasionally put a building permit on one.
Well, it's just all you got.
And the other thing is, I think temporary signs, we need to make a distinction between fairs, expositions, garage sales, yard sales,
Yeah.
auctions, and they have to be removed after the event. So that's what a temporary sign is, not for a sale at, Kmart. It's for-
right. Right, it's like a estate sale. They come in for the weekend and then they're gone.
Yep.
Like a garage sale too.
Sure. Yeah, garage
So
sale.
next page.
Less than 7 consecutive days or.
I think this is correct. The new bylaws say you can't have signs with flashing, intermittent, rotating, or moving lights. She made pennants, ribbon streamers not allowable, but I think so many people have those feather signs.
Yeah.
I think we have to allow those.
Like the one right at the new station at Center's old place? Like those
Yeah.
long feathers?
Yeah.
Like the teardroppy,
Okay.
yeah.
So, Sandra hates that that's sideways, but I don't see any of the bylaws that I can give them a violation for having it be
Because it's
sideways.
not.
Signs that are lewd, obscene, and vulgar, that's the hard one to litigate. And-
Artistic,
Yeah.
if it's artistic.
So I think we'll wait and see on that. I don't think we need to have a rule against lewd signs. And actually, one of the people who came to the previous meetings thought it was a terrible idea to ban obscene signs, so. In Keene, they had a place called Foo-Keen Great, or
Oh.
Fo-Keen Great.
Yeah.
And
I remember this.
that went on for a while. All right, so next page, page 49. So I added, with the exception of one open flag, all flags and banners with a commercial message on them that are displayed permanently will be treated as a permanent sign in terms of size restrictions and number of signs allowed per establishment. So it's just, if you already have a big sign on your roof and then a window sign, you don't want them having 10
Right.
banners too.
Can't be any more open than you're already open.
Right.
A little too cluttered.
The formula for wall signs is really complicated. 1 square foot multiplied by the width of the building facade with a maximum of 40 square feet. I think just 20 square feet for any commercial sign in a commercial district is easier.
Keep it simple.
For window signs, the Napa store in the plaza wanted to do the maximum, which in the old bylaws is smaller, but they wanted to do the maximum size sign in every pane of glass
Right.
in the Napa store, and I said, no, it's a total of 12 square feet. So that sounds okay?
Yeah.
The select board did pass that interim bylaw, so they can have Napa can have a big sign on the roof.
Good, 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 good.
The electronic message signs we already covered. The minimum front, so a freestanding sign, the minimum front setback on the edge of the right-of-way, and I just added not the edge of the road surface, because people get confused. They think the edge of the road right-of-way is the edge of the road, and it's not, it's wider. So a roof sign must not exceed 20 square feet. I got rid of that formula with the math involved. And I added a category of sign that you can have: permanent banners, flags, feather signs, a maximum of 1 open sign and 2 permanent banner, pennant, or feather signs with lettering, which are a maximum of 12 square feet in signable area in the business district. 12 square feet. I don't know why I had 24 square feet in the general business. That's ridiculous. Can you imagine a 24 square foot feather sign? So I think I would just make all feather signs 12 square feet.
Right.
Yeah, and do you think 2 is a good number of feather signs? Like what's the Grandma Frisbee's now?
Yeah,
They have two.
Revival Kitchen.
Revival.
Yeah, they've got 2, right? One
Yeah.
pizza and something like that.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me.
I think 2 is.
So you're proposing we allow these to be flown and used in village residential and residential districts? I don't know why there would be a need for that.
Yeah, I would just, it should be in the 3 business districts. I must have been drunk on there. Sandwich board sign. A maximum of 1 sandwich board sign is allowed per establishment as follows. Sandwich board signs are allowed in the business districts and the recreation district. Sandwich board signs must not be illuminated. Sandwich board signs may not exceed 8 square feet. Signs must not be placed within the right-of-way, must not interfere with vehicles or pedestrians. Sandwich board signs must be weighted or anchored. Sandwich board signs, this is the controversial one, may only be displayed during business hours and must be removed when the establishment is closed. I don't know if
I don't see how that's why would someone want to leave it up?
Yeah, I mean, usually cool.
laziness.
Oh.
Because I strap mine down and I ain't going out there and
Yeah.
unstrapping it down because,
I don't think it's a big problem.
yeah.
As long as it's not in the highway right away, I don't think it's a big problem. So we'll eliminate that one.
Sure.
It's up on the hill.
Menu signs, we don't really have drive-up windows, and if we had a restaurant that's gonna do a drive-up window, they'd have to do a site plan, and we'll deal with the menu signs there. Sign lighting, I have never understood this rule, it's, different towns have it slightly differently. Signs must be lit up. Oh, no, this one is just that signs have to be lit from above. I don't know why they can't be lit from below. The ones, Jake's is lit from below,
Right.
so. Sign lighting must be turned off by 10 PM or the close of business. If later, it must not be turned back on until the business reopens. I think there should be something for motels, allowing them to be on all night, because
Right.
Yeah.
that's something.
We have guests
That'll
overnight.
happen.
Go straggling.
There's a section here on sign designs, which I think we can lose the whole thing. Signs must be designed by a professional sign maker. 3 colors max. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not good stuff.
All right, 51. Oh, no, 53.
53.
There's a sign here saying electronic message signs, but I don't think we need electronic message signs. That's flashing, moving letters and stuff.
So we're getting rid of that.
Yeah.
So does that mean that we won't allow them or
I would think, I mean, do you want,
not particularly?
there's 2 choices. You can say no moving electric message signs, or you can say no electric message signs.
Moving as in the words are flashing and everything. Yeah, that's.
Do you know the one on the, there's one on the Coda and Coda self-serve gas station?
Down Jamaica
And
there.
it's, yeah, it's really ugly,
Yeah.
so.
With that, I mean, this, just splitting hairs, is that the same for the Powerball?
In a window?
Yeah. I'm just saying, I'm
No,
just saying.
that's important stuff.
Yeah, megabucks and all that stuff.
I'll look into that,
Maybe the square footage amount
Yeah.
comes to play.
yeah. I'll,
Yeah, like nobody wants to be looking at a huge billboard.
No.
Flashing at you
No.
around here.
No.
Well, we have one on our building. It's right by the office.
I have it by the office, yeah.
It's this big.
Yeah, no, that would
It's a
be-
strip, but it's a sign that's.
that would be
moves.
a sign that's exempt because it's just a small sign for.
Okay, I didn't know, because.
I only have it on in the morning for coffee hour and then
I'll
when
tell you
we're
what,
no
when I
vacancy.
drive
That's
by,
it.
the lines go.
Well, you gotta have some signage around here. You gotta, it's dark, you know. You gotta know you're there.
Yep.
So here's the one that I've never understood. Internally illuminated signs must be composed of channel letters, have an opaque background and translucent text symbols, have a colored background that is darker than the text symbols. I don't even really.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
get that.
Delete that.
Just say no.
I mean, I think we allow self-illuminated signs. We did have some problems with the ATM on the Heritage Credit Union,
Right.
which is illuminated architecture, and it was just too bright for one of the neighbors.
After we spoke about this, you mentioned that at one of the previous meetings.
that's
I was
another
driving by,
section.
and it is bright.
Yeah.
It is pretty bright.
They fixed it at some times, and then it's gotten worse again and gotten better, so I should check into that. Sign area will include the elements that serve primarily to communicate the sign's message and not the structural elements. Then it goes on to, if the supporting structure will be visually prominent, designed to attract attention or otherwise integral to the communicating the sign's message, it will be included in the calculation of the sign area. I just can't picture a case of that. I mean, the Bromley Village sign, have you seen that? They had to do a fairly small sign, so they put a stone thing in a thing going sideways, but it doesn't look bad.
Right.
So I would just as soon take that out.
It could be considered art.
Right, public art. Nothing controversial. There. Okay, so we're up to trash. And if you don't have trash in your package, some people didn't have trash.
The supplemental trash.
And then we're gonna be on the second package. I think, I don't know. I shouldn't say that, because I.
So 3108 is where we are now?
Yep.
So I did have that.
Do you have that?
I do. I do.
So I just added that only major site plan need to show the trash and recycling on a site plan. I think if you're just adding a little dormer or something, you shouldn't have to do that. And I wrote on-site composting, just to make it clear that that's not for a composting center, that's for a restaurant that's composting its lettuce leaves. And then instead of requiring people, I gave the DRB more flexibility with screening trash containers, depending on the size of the project or, you know,
I like that.
various things. Like the coffee shop at the corner in the old shoe barn, they're just gonna roll the wheelies behind the building, I think was their plan. So that works fine, they don't need a fence.
Right.
The DRB may require that the trash, compost, and recycling storage areas be visually screened. I don't think you need to specify a fence. Bare and road approved, I added. That's common sense. And we're on to specific use standards, which may be is that the next packet?
Yep. Yep. 3,200.
All right. There's a lot of stuff about,
That's this new packet?
should be,
Yep.
specific use standards and then multi-unit dwellings.
Yep.
There's a lot of rules for multi-unit dwellings, I think. I don't think any of it's necessary, but I know Pam had some disagreements about the laundry. But it's requiring if you have more than 3 units, you have to have a public area, and you have to have common space and bulk storage areas. You have to have a sidewalk.
And that would all fall under design review board once one of those actually
Yes.
exists.
Yep.
Anyhow, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it would be, leave it up to the DRB.
Yeah,
Works for me.
sure.
The boarding house, I made a change to cover if a hotel or motel is turned into a boarding house. I just said it's a structure, and I said that you don't need a site plan if it was previously a motel or a hotel to turn it into a boarding house. So that's the Maya Drummond exception. Accessory dwelling, 3204 next page.
Yep.
I took out appurtenance. I think we talked about this before. It means on the same lot as a dwelling, so I think I see you saying appurtenant. Now, the way it's written now, the bigger your house is, the bigger an accessory dwelling you get, which doesn't seem totally fair. And as a matter of fact, if you have a small house, you can only have a teensy-weensy accessory dwelling. So I am suggesting that an accessory dwelling can't exceed 1,000 square feet and get rid of the percentage of the floor space. And the only negative outcome I can think of is you might end up with 2 tiny homes on a piece of property, but that's probably, if they have a septic permit, I think that's okay. It's better than, well, it's the same as a McMansion and a tiny home.
Yeah.
What about a situation where you have a primary dwelling and let's say Riley Road, you're on Riley Road, primary dwelling, and you have a two-car garage on the other side of the road. Kind of common in Vermont to have a situation like that. And you decide to put a mother-in-law apartment in the two-bay garage. Would that,
That would be allowed because a road is considered a natural subdivision in Vermont.
okay.
There's a section just saying that if you don't qualify for an accessory dwelling, you might qualify to be a duplex or a multifamily dwelling. And the way the bylaws were written, you could have 2 houses and 2 accessory dwellings on every lot, and we got rid of that. That just didn't seem practical. So a primitive camp, I think a primitive camp just needs a place where you can get your car off the road. I don't think it needs a driveway or parking area. Any objections to that?
No.
I think it's tricky.
It can only be used 60 days a year.
Yeah, like a hunt
One of the
camp or
reasons.
something like that.
Well, I think of Roland Williams in Peru.
He doesn't go by that anymore. You're designating him.
Did he pass?
No, but he's called Baron Andrew something
I
now.
didn't know that. Well,
didn't
I
he?
knew we were talking. I mean, that was a hunting camp. And it had electricity, but
Well, Peru is the capital of that. There's people who are living in hunting camps
Yeah,
more.
there's a lot of them.
I would say on condition, you know, if you're in a rural area and you want to live in a Jed Clampett shack,
There's state septic regulations is the problem with that.
you know, well,
The outhouse doesn't make
mean, I
doesn't
don't-
make it anymore.
What's that?
An outhouse doesn't make
No.
the cut anymore.
Well, you can have an outhouse as long as you have a septic system.
so compostable.
You don't want to dig into your 1,000 square feet, so.
Gray water?
Yes.
Interesting.
Okay, so providing you have a water supply and gray water storage and leaching, then that changes that from a rustic camp, I assume.
Pretty much, yeah. It would be a house.
Because, you know, I just see it as one more way to limit what somebody could live in if they actually have no money to do something better.
Right. And I don't want to say that people understand that and aren't going to go crazy with enforcing the state. I mean, if the neighbors don't like it, they can call the state agency of natural resources.
I mean, we have residents in a certain part of town, somebody put a trailer in and they got really upset over a trailer being put in.
Right.
And I could understand if somebody had a problem with somebody living in a, you know, shotgun shack somewhere.
We also had a really crowded part of town where someone put a camper in a wetland and was living in it year round,
Yeah.
and it was upsetting the nice lady next door.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that one too. And now that particular area was zoned residential, which I would think there's no conditional use where you could do that, you know what I'm saying?
Right, because you already had an accessory dwelling.
And if you were in a rural area, that might not be such a
Yeah.
deal breaker. So I would think on a conditional use level, rustic shack, a primitive camp shouldn't be a deal breaker.
But I think the state rules draw the line at, that's how long you can live in a house with no septic.
Okay.
Now, would a compostable toilet, would that satisfy the rules for
No,
that?
you still
Having
need
a
it.
gray water line?
Yeah, you still need a septic system for gray water. All right, home occupations is pretty much a sensitive area. I think a home occupation shouldn't need a permit, but I'm suggesting that they fill out an application just so we can see whether it's a home occupation or a home business, which does require a permit and a site plan hearing.
So the difference between an accountant and maybe a home gym?
Or someone's fixing cars or firewood business, you might want to have a.
With the cars, for sure, because of the
The traffic and all that.
Or someone who's storing a lot of stuff outside.
I seem to recall when I first started selling firewood, I had, what was his name, Paul?
Yeah, Dexter.
Paul Dexter. Because my uncle was being a little contentious about where I was
No.
going. Yeah.
I don't believe it.
So,
Such an agreeable man.
so just to satisfy everybody, I had Paul Dexter come out, we talked about it, and, you know, some of the questions he asked, are you planning on having people show up and load their firewood and take off with it? Maybe occasionally, but no, as a rule, no.
Right.
Those kind of things. So that was kind of a precursor to see if I actually had to sit down with the DRB and do more work. And that seemed like a good way to do things, and I don't know
Yeah.
if this changes that. It doesn't-
No,
it doesn't appear to.
that's the kind of thing I want to have. And people do get mad when you say, not to talk about anyone specific, but you need a permit to sell bread from your house,
Right.
so.
But that's covered under the state too, isn't it? Because it's a home baked goods
Yeah,
that it's,
I mean, that might require a license.
it certainly requires a,
Yeah, because I mean, I don't have a restaurant license, so, you know, my continental breakfast is all prepackaged.
You're not making bread every morning?
No. God.
So. you would
I make you guys
determine
cookies, that's it.
If it's just a business run by people who, resident of the dwelling, it doesn't, you won't need a permit if it generates, no more traffic than would normally be expected in a residential area. This is controversial, operate between 7 and 7 Monday through Friday and 9 to 5 on Saturday and Sunday. There were people really opposed to that.
Yeah.
But I think the general public is not really opposed to it. And you can still do it, you just need to have a hearing. Offer for sale only goods manufactured on the premises, or if you're a hair cutting place, you can offer conditioner. Not provide services to repair motor vehicles, equipment, or other large goods or machinery. 40% of the house or the house in the garage. Not employ more than 2 people. And have parking as necessary.
yeah.
So not have any outdoor storage areas, that would kick you up to a meeting, a hearing, and a permit. So home business would be something at a house, but it requires a permit and a hearing. So that has to meet the standard, not have an adverse effect on the character of the area. Has to conform to state health and safety codes. It's got some hours. It's 6 people you're allowed to have instead of 2. You need parking. And you might need screening for your storage if it's right next to someone else's house. Any problems?
No, I don't see any. I mean, the question would be influx, like say, I don't know why, because I've been doing some accounting lately, but an accountant doesn't get that much traffic, but seasonally it may. Now, unless someone's complaining about it, it's
Right.
kind of a moot point. Okay. Yeah.
That's fine. Bed and breakfast, I eliminated. as a category, I think really we don't have those anymore. We have Airbnbs now. And I thought people might try and use bed and breakfast designation as a way to get around the short-term rental regulations. So next page, short-term rentals. I just simplified some language there. I think that can stay the same. A lodging facility. There's two things in here that I really question. A lodging facility and a resort. I can't think of anywhere, well, I can think of one place where you could have a lodging facility or a resort and it wouldn't really piss people off, and that would be directly on Route 100 or Route 11. But I think either of those on Under the Mountain Road, you would have people here with torches and pitchforks. So the question is, do we need those categories? And if we
Put it under the purview of the design review board, basically? Or do you just want to eliminate the language altogether? I mean, if,
eliminate both of those
Yeah.
categories.
What if you added that it has to be in a commercial zone? Or
Yep,
wouldn't that nix that?
yeah, I think that would be better.
Because then, I mean, if you're opening up a lodging or, you know, a resort, that would have to be in a commercial.
Well,
one
no,
would-
that's the way the bylaws were written, is they could be in an RR3. So-
thus some of the
Sort of like a
problems.
small place or something like winter tourism and something like that, or a resort like Two Bender Snowshoeing or something like that.
Well, it's wide open how big it can be. The only it restricted in a residential area that it had to be in a 6-acre lot, but saying it has to be in a 6-acre lot, that doesn't mean it's not going to be 50 feet from someone's house.
Right.
So 500, oh wait. Anyways, I can't remember how big a lodging facility could be, but I figured
I mean,
But
No,
even on the 6 acres, I mean,
no one's crying out for lodging facility.
no. But I mean, like, we're 5, and, I mean, if you look at Blue Gentian and everybody else, they're even smaller than us,
Yeah.
so,
So in a residential, in a
But it-
commercial district, that's fine, but
Right.
it wouldn't be fine on a non-road. All right. So campgrounds, I think is another thing, you know, I can see a campground being in a rural area if it's the right one. If it's not gonna piss off everybody on the road.
Does campground fall under like RV camping?
well, that gets
Yes.
tricky because
Yes, RV, but not,
Not mobile, like, yeah.
Peter brought that up, Peter Cobb brought it up at one of the meetings about, because there's a little camping area down by the river there, you know, and stuff like that too.
yeah, well, that's more about using RVs as a residence and storing them and stuff.
Okay.
So that's a different section. I took some things out of campground. They don't let you operate in the winter. And they don't let you, she didn't let you store the RVs at the campground. And I live pretty near Horseshoe Acres and everything's stored there.
Yeah.
There's
Some
no
people stay
problem
there year round too.
Yeah.
don't they?
Oh, Teddy.
Ted does.
Ted
Oh,
does.
Teddy.
And you can't, you know,
Gotta have Ted.
So you're making it so that you can
You
keep
can do
it,
that.
yeah, you can store them over the winter.
One question I have about campgrounds, and it's kind of like people trying to do, they talk about earlier, primitive camping and stuff like that, as a workaround for housing. If you can get like an RV park model, it's not a mobile home, it's under 400 square foot. It is a park model, it's made for campgrounds. Could that be a
Yeah.
way someone could just sneak in a development by saying it's a campground?
well, this has come up a bunch with tiny homes because
Which is basically the same thing.
yeah, so that would be under a different section. You know, I guess.
But somebody could say,
Yes.
this is a campground model, I want to open a campground, and I'm going to have 20 people living here.
It's the length of the stay, that would, if you're staying
Okay.
for, anytime you have more than 3 people camping, you need a state permit, septic permit.
Right.
And so the state would have the same rules about if you live in there year round, you need proper septic systems.
So it always goes back to the septic.
So here's the resort. So I'm gonna change that to commercial zones only. So zones is a destination located in a setting of significant natural amenities that offers guests access to recreational activities and amenities as its primary function. At least 60% of the total land in the resort must be principally dedicated to recreational use. So that would be another ski area or something, and I think,
Yeah, do like commercial and the recreation, commercial.
and it's not, outdoor recreation is another category, so you could do a cross-country area in Londonderry that wouldn't be a resort. So I don't think that's gonna come up, but I think we can allow it in commercial districts without any big thing. Repair service on 65. So I just added, these rules apply to new applicants subject to major site plan review. So I don't think there's anything horrible under repair services, except for all outdoor storage associated with the repair service must be screened. I don't know if that's going too far.
Screened all the way around, so.
Maybe screened from residential only. Instead of.
That's more realistic.
That's more realistic.
Yeah.
So if you're doing car repair right next to a ranch house, you'd
Yeah.
put a row of shrubs or.
They don't want to be on their porch looking at you slamming away on cars. I can understand
Or if
that.
you want to be able
It's
to
like you
sell
get free car
cars
care.
at your-
You're probably gonna hear it, but you
Not have to screen them.
Right, yeah. And there is a section on outdoor display areas we'll get to. A fueling station, Tom thought some of these were pretty harsh. So let's just sort of go through them. 500 feet from any other fueling station, I don't know why, but that's not bad. Located in a lot that has 150 feet of frontage and 2,000 square feet in area. 20,000 square feet in area?
20,000. Whew.
20,000, that's not gonna fly, I don't think.
Are there state rules on this kind of stuff that we should look at, or?
There's probably safety rules, but. Accommodate service by fuel tankers,
Oh,
I
right
think
here.
that makes sense.
I got you, thank you. That's a
That's a lot. The big one.
Pump islands 30 feet from side and rear lot lines. That makes sense because you gotta get a vehicle on both sides. Not have the fuel pumps in front of the building, I think we could lose that.
Right.
Yeah. Because usually,
Not
Supposed to spread out
locate
the
accessory equipment such as self-service vacuums or air pumps within the minimum required setbacks. I think that's fine. Same thing, you don't want a commercial vacuum next door to your screen porch.
your spa.
Screen fueling areas that are located within 20 feet of a property line. That's the same thing we talked about before. Fuel station canopies cannot go into the setbacks. I think that makes sense. Not exceed 18 feet in height. I assume that makes sense. Not incorporate signage, franchise designs, or corporate identification elements. I cross that out.
No.
I think it's the corporation that pays for those canopies, so they're not going to take off their loan. Be architecturally integrated with the principal building. I think we could do that. Canopy. Have illumination only on the underside of the canopy. That seems fine.
Mm-hmm.
Little landscaping. I see that's hard to do. That has to be on a case-by-case basis because there just may not be room for landscaping.
Right.
So we'll leave that up to the DRB. Maybe add, may require. Storage tanks must meet the standards. That's a no-brainer. The pricing signs, there's limits on how big they can be and whether they can flash. Electric car charging stations within a parking lot structure or public right-of-way will not be considered fueling stations. There's another section on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because that comes, that's gonna come under.
Car wash, I did definitely remove, be designed so that the service bay doors do not face the road, because that came up at a meeting and got a big laugh. But other than that,
Jim brought that one up.
washings and drying must be inside. It restricts the hours. Vacuums have to be in the setback. Screening, we can leave that up to the DRB. Wastewater, that's state regs. So, page 68. Veterinary, I added pet groomers and anything with outdoor areas for animal use must be located far enough from residential uses that the neighbors will not be disturbed. I know when people have had boarding kennels, it's torn towns apart.
Yeah.
That's what I figured there. And obviously it must be in accordance with state animal welfare regulations. There's actually a wolf hybrid sanctuary in Weston,
Really?
and never heard any complaints about it, so. You would think there would be howling.
I had one, and she would howl, and actually.
Wasn't it the Wolf Moon tonight?
Oh, it is the wolf moon tonight, but yeah. She used to sneak over to,
You'll hear him.
over to Kurt, from Precision's house and steal Preston's toys.
Poor Preston.
Kurt was like, "You used to live across the street from me, didn't you?" Sorry.
So stone product manufacturing, I want to lump that in with
Restaurant.
light industry. I don't think that needs to be a special category. There hasn't been a stone product manufacturing place in Londonderry
Ever.
since the 20s. Across from Mike and Tammy's, that used to be a headstone polishing shop. I used to work with the guy who grew up there.
That building was a lot of different things.
No kidding.
Okay, page 70. Mini storage, same thing, it has to be oriented parallel to the road, I got rid of that. And I got rid of the design of mini storage. They're ugly, but, you know,
Necessary.
where else are the drunks gonna store their stuff when they get evicted? I didn't just. Tank farm or fuel storage, the one thing, Langrove, Blue Flame wanted to put 30,000 gallons worth of propane next to Floodbrook School. And it almost happened. The one reason why it didn't happen is because it would have been really noisy. A truck would have pulled up every day at 5 and be running for however long it took to unload that propane, which was like an hour. And the neighbors took it to the state with that complaint, and they won. So I think it adds something about the noise of a fuel storage place, unless you want to try and get rid of fuel storage and distribution completely.
What do we have?
Where is Blue Flame's tank now?
I honestly can't tell you where it is.
They have one? I don't know where it is.
Can't think of where it is.
Why am I?
Communications antennas and towers, that's heavily regulated by the state, although people can comment on them. So that,
Towers as in wind towers too?
that would be,
separate one?
there's communications there. Wind towers must be under alternative energy.
Okay.
So. We've got a couple of pages with no notes. Oh, well, the reason why there are no notes is there's just tons of stuff on antennas, and it's really mostly under state control. So I'm all the way to page 74.
Oh,
Contractor's yard or unenclosed storage.
uh-oh.
A contractor's yard or unenclosed storage subject to major site plan approval. So that, I wanted to make people with home businesses a little less worried.
That's up to the DRB then?
Yeah, screens may have to be fenced. There may have to be erosion control. No, not store hazardous materials. Maintenance may have to be screened. Keep going backwards. So that's it for that. Commercial outdoor recreation is not too controversial. You have to have a site plan. Child daycare that's only for more than 6 kids, and just basic stuff. It has to be registered. Outdoor play areas have to be looked at by the DRB. Firewood processing, I want to put that in with light industry. That was a big sticking point. Extraction and quarrying. The Shays has asked me, no, it wasn't Shay. Well, anyways, someone asked me, why do we still have to have a town permit if you're totally controlled by Act 250? And I think that's fair. The old zoning bylaws, you had to get a permit every 5 years. Brady took that out, and I think if someone is maintaining their Act 250 permit, that should be good enough for the town. But I'll look into more the legal ramifications of that.
Doesn't the town get a copy of that anyways?
Yeah. And then there's a bunch of rules for quarries that are about the same as the old ones. 77, accessory on-farm business or agricultural enterprise, that's required by the state. The one thing that's different is if you're under $2,000 a year in profit, that would be considered a farm stand. And my suggestion is that we allow farm stands, but there has to be safe parking as determined by the road commissioner.
I agree.
Because I know that has been a problem with people set up a farm stand and suddenly there's a traffic problem. And this year, 3 people asked me about farm stands. So this is all, accessory on-farm business is all state rules. We don't really have much input to that. Someone objected to it, but, where's 79?
I guess the one question, I did have a note and just was, is there any town licensing or oversight at all just because state supersedes?
Yes, no, you need a permit for an on-farm business, and you need a site plan review.
Okay.
So we're all the way up to subdivisions, which is great. Are we just gonna keep blasting? We might get through section 2.
Sure.
But if you're going crazy, you can just.
No, I've been chomping at the bit to get back to this.
Good.
So,
I like the inertia.
yeah.
So subdivisions are big and complicated, but this is one of the sections that's best in these bylaws
Yeah.
as written. One thing I did cross out on page 80, within the rural zoning district, all subdivisions creating 4 or more lots shall be designed as a PUD. For technical reasons, I just don't like that rule. I think if they need it to be a PUD, they can make it a PUD. And that may become clearer as we get to the section on PUDs. PUD is just a way of, if you have 15 acres, you can have 5 3-acre lots, or if it's a PUD, you can cluster everything in one end. So if part of the 15 acres is too wet, you can cluster the other end and stuff like that. But I don't think there's any need to require that if there's not a swamp. It's just a new rule that, and it's pretty much a state mandate that you can limit clearing when you're designing a subdivision. The DOT can limit clearing when they're designing a subdivision. I think you can call it logging and do more, but, so that's a new rule, someone may object to it. And also, the DRB cannot let you put a house in the middle of a field. That would be on a case-by-case basis. So, engineering for a subdivision, I just made it so it can be the applicant's or the town's engineer based on what the DRB thinks is most appropriate. It costs a lot of money for the town to hire an engineer, but on a big subdivision, it's a good idea, especially if there are roads involved.
Right.
Because it's pretty hard to know all the standards for roads.
Well, moving ahead towards the need for housing, it feels like that's going to be something.
Yeah, but you don't see many big, no one's investing the money in big subdivisions anymore. So page 84, right away width, 50 feet is standard. I don't know why I should go 60. There's something about the grade. Well, there's rules about how steep a driveway can be. Those are pretty important for anyone who's done fire or rescue. Page 85 now. In subdivisions, the DRB may require asphalt paving for roads or segments that are really steep, or regularly servicing heavy vehicles. As long as that's optional, I think that's fine. I can see a scenario where you just say, you can only have that driveway if you paid it, just because it's crazy steep. 86, there's a lot on sidewalks and bicycle paths in subdivisions. I don't think it's ever going to come up.
Right.
And then, fill. I said clean fill, maybe soil, stone, gravel, concrete, ceramic, brick, and mortar. She said, oh, fill can only be soil, which I don't think there's any state rule for that. Now we're at the PUDs, which again is cluster houses. The first kind of PUD is called a conservation PUD, and that's where you have a wetland on one side and push all the houses to the other side. She had a formula for figuring out how many houses you can have in a PUD. I haven't found anyone who's heard this formula before or understood it. So I went back to the old formula, which is the number of residence structures in the conservation PUD is governed by the density permitted in the zoning and the rules for the district. For example, 5 residences on a 10-acre tract in a 2-acre zone. So it's simple math instead of her formula, which was dividing the maximum lot coverage by 4,000 and rounding down to the nearest whole number. I didn't get it. And if she weren't in New Zealand, she could explain it to us, but. Neighborhood PUD is another kind of PUD. That's where you just want the houses close together to make a neighborhood. The same thing, I changed the formula for density. She had a lot on a density bonus for affordable housing. It's just so complicated, I took it out. You know, something that can be added back if we really think it's necessary, but I don't see anybody,
Throwing in a bunch of Section 8.
yeah.
No.
We're done with section 3, believe it or not. Wait a second, yeah, we're done with section 3. So next time,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they are.
4,
Yeah, it was.
and then I think 5 is definitions. Yeah.
Pam's gonna wanna be here for that,
Yes.
just,
She's gonna love that.
that's probably gonna be her favorite section.
But then, after that, we gotta go back to 2 and to the map. But
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of work on that, and I think it's doable. I think we just keep the old stuff, unless there's a reason to change it. And the changes, I just didn't understand a lot of the changes that were made in the
So some of the, even the residents were wondering, like, how did they come up with what they were gonna turn to R1?
Right.
Like, what was the theory behind that? Even some people I know that own property, like bigger property, they wanted it R1, you know, but it's in areas where obviously you didn't.
And some of those people probably were in 50 acre zoning, which I knew was never gonna fly.
You know,
Half the time.
Here's a question for you, Will.
Yes.
You can answer this. So, going back to short-term rental, is there any way to
So get everyone on the same page.
make a short-term rental conditional based on the entity that owns it?
There is now. Just, the state Supreme Court just did a decision that says a town can limit how many short-term rentals.
oh, they did pass the,
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
we were talking about that Monday.
But I think that would be best done through an ordinance, not the bylaws.
Right. That's actually, Trevor and I went to our first short-term, so we can,
Fill you in on
we can
that.
fill you in on that after, oh, yeah.
The zoning is gonna be a big part of the new ordinance. They were thinking, you know.
I think specifically, and maybe you see where I'm going with this, in a residential area, you get an Airbnb that's owned by a LLC,
Yeah.
Corporation.
real estate company.
Because it's a single-unit dwelling,
No, but
Makes-
this new,
does change that?
yeah, the case law is changing on that.
Good.
So it's giving everybody a little bit more,
Control.
Well, we know, or we've all
Good.
heard about,
Yeah.
you know, about companies that own multiple short-term rentals. And sometimes they're on the same street even.
Oh, yeah.
And I know in Peru, there's a few of them, and they've had some issues.
Anytime you get really big places like 12 plus people, there's always problems.
Right. Well, and there's verbiage in the new short-term rental rules about how many people, and then once it approaches the 12 and over, then there's more fire control
Right.
and whatnot, so. But last meeting that we had was, I felt like the town's hands were tied a little bit, but
It's
they were
changed.
waiting on this,
It's
this
changed.
ruling.
Yep.
Good.
And the other thing is, Peru included a noise ordinance, and you can lose your short-term rental
nice.
license if you have 3 noise ordinance complaints.
You know, the Higuera House would have lost it a few years back. I remember Jeremy, the place right across from Hunter's Pit there, on 11. That place, they packed that place right
Yeah.
in there.
Well, apparently there's one guy in Forest Mountain Estates who's out of control.
Yeah.
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 So we heard that
Yeah,
came up.
that came up. And it's unfortunate that state police can only come out and say, hey, if they're being noisy when they show up, and it's something, I guess.
You got an hour if it's an emergency 911 call for police to get to Londonderry now. So if you're calling about noise, you're probably gonna see them maybe the next day or two.
Yeah, well, I called and I talked to him at one instance where we were living, and I said, look, I don't want to waste your time. And they're like, I mean, you have an honest complaint, but I can't tell you that they're gonna show up and,
I don't wonder if the sheriff would do a daytime visit.
Wyndham County?
What's it, yeah.
Yeah, probably. Because I know the state troopers, the last time I dealt with them with the break-in at my mother's neighbor's place and everything like that, the state troopers that responded that night didn't want to check the house that evening. And then the next day, I saw the door was wide open in the morning, and they obviously had broken in, so I called them to let them know. And they didn't even want to take the case. They were like, we're not sure, so we'll let you know. And then they called, or I waited, and they talked to them, they said, yeah, they don't want to take it, so we're gonna send you to Wyndham County Sheriff's. So you're better off probably going to Wyndham County Sheriff's.
Peru is out of Shaftesbury now, they love them.
Yeah.
oh, yeah?
They say Shaftesbury is much better.
They get right there. Well, I understand, I mean, Westminster, it's a poke. We're all over there.
Yeah.
I mean, even doing fast, they made it in pretty good time. It was like 40 minutes,
Yeah.
but,
I
and
can
they
make
were
it
fine.
faster. I can make it faster.
And that's, I'm sure you could.
You know, you're on,
Yeah, I know. If I were a state trooper,
and could do it legally.
yeah.
Well, that was great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Nice.
All right,
That's
we got
good.
one done.
So on to 4.
What
That'll
was
be,
this one page that you guys gave me?
that was if you didn't have it,
Okay,
but you did.
yeah, I got that one.
We had the same, I think Steve had a wild,
No, mine, I had it.
oh, you did?
The one he gave me in my original one that I got, that's the one that's cattywampus. That's the one I have all my notes in. So I have to go through them both at the same time.
So section 4 will be the next.
Yeah.
The next piece to
See you
tame.
in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yep. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Will.
Beauty.
All right, on to committee updates.
Community updates would be that Trevor and I went to that first short-term rental, but it sounds like things are gonna change. But I mean, I came away with that meeting feeling like the town's hands were tied and we were kind of stuck with, I don't know how, I wouldn't talk for you, but for me, I really wanted to be able to enact some control, and it didn't seem like that was very possible.
But now with the new ruling, I think we're gonna learn a lot more. There was good information.
Oh, absolutely.
Andy, that's his name.
Yep.
He had a lot of good information. It seems like he's on it, because like Truckee and Talking Out West, he's done a lot of research, and so it was very informative.
There's a lot that he can't do, you know.
Unknown guy.
Well, and even,
A
you
gray
know,
area.
well, a lot of this control that the state would have had, maybe now all this is gonna change, has a lot to do with fire safety.
You'll turn off the heat, right?
It's not off right now?
No, this is on.
Is there another one down there, or
No,
is
you
just,
just-
just the one? Okay,
Turn the switch on that one to off.
got
Did you
it.
shut it all the way off?
Yeah, because there's 2 thermostats on the same zone.
Oh, yeah.
So it's either this favors upstairs and that one favors downstairs.
Keep the downstairs warm. Check.
Make sure it's on downstairs.
But he was saying that, Andy was saying that the fire marshals were saying, you really can't regulate it because you're not a fire marshal. And you can kind of suggest that they police themselves. This is what I kind of got from it.
Yeah.
And so there was discussions of maybe him going to schooling to be a fire marshal, to have more control of it. So I think that now that something has changed, maybe there's going to be a little bit more control, but it was informative.
Yeah, I think with the new ruling, there's gonna be a lot to learn now.
Right. Well,
What
now
we
it's
can-
going to,
the towns can and can't do, you know, because I think everybody was kind of tied, saying until the state changes some of their laws, we can't do much as a town. But now it seems like that's changed, so there'll be more information to come.
yeah, so
Now,
maybe,
that lawsuit was, what, Burlington
Yeah.
case?
Yeah,
And was the environmental court involved with that as well?
I
I
don't
don't know.
remember. I don't know if it
I
was.
remember reading something vaguely about it a couple months ago, but I don't remember the specifics.
We talked about a lot of that stuff, you know, kind of like, if you're renting a place to the public, you know, why isn't it under the same standards as a motel or a hotel for state standards, you know, like fire and all your codes?
That would
and all that
eliminate
stuff.
so many things,
And
but
I mean, it makes sense to me. I mean,
Yeah,
if I'm paying money
absolutely.
to stay somewhere, I want to know that I'm safe by all the state codes and all that stuff. I mean, I think,
that would eliminate
so just
so many
everybody just
headaches.
doing a B&B, you know, be like, oh, I think there will be, you know, with the new ordinance and all that stuff.
We'll just have to keep an eye on all that.
Informed. When, are we every,
We're next Monday.
so now we're
4
every
o'clock.
Monday of the month? Wonderful.
Well, now that, and we were gonna, and the whole thing with the short-term rental committee is that we were gonna reach a point where we could basically disband because nothing can happen until the next, it's like.
Session.
Next rollover of the rulings and stuff.
Yeah.
So I bet we'll probably have a few more now
Yeah.
and get that kind of hemmed up so that when the next,
Next time you guys go,
actually, he's taking minutes. Someone was taking minutes. He
Yeah,
was
Andy
taking
was.
notes. Yeah. So.
I'd like our own copy.
You like your own copy. Okay. You can zoom in.
Oh, they have it on Zoom?
It is an open meeting. Tommy Kavanaugh is on the
Thing,
board.
okay.
Peter, Andy, you, me, and I don't think Martha was there, but I think
No,
she's on it too.
She is on it, yeah.
So-
But someone from the Housing Commission and the Design Review Board.
Oh, yes.
Both of those guys were on there, so it was a good round table of
Okay.
people, for sure.
Yeah, she listened.
Yes.
Forgetting names for some reason right now. but,
So Pam and I were at the FEMA recovery meeting. The next meeting's the 16th. And then there's going to be a public forum also. So they're finalizing the postcards for that, so that'll be going out. But it's pretty much all the old reports of all those things that they spent money on and everything. We're gonna show to FEMA and go through and see what parts that we can pick out and actually do compared to, the things that were,
Do you think they're actually gonna present a proper flood map for Londonderry?
Well, we're having, what was it, at the 16th, there's gonna be some people there from the state, talking about, the natural resources and all the different, so they're gonna be coming in and explaining. So I'll have those on recording and have minutes down for that too. But yeah, for the 16th, let me see. Hold on. Let's see if it's in. Oh, that was still the poster. So much not gonna- Oh, I can't find it right now. But yeah, it's having like the natural resources people and stuff like that, so they'll be there at the next meeting. So I'll definitely.
Because we're gonna want, like Steve was talking about before, they're gonna, if we're talking about zoning maps, and there's.
Oh, it's all down to flooding.
The zoning seems huge on everything, especially with the short terms, because they were thinking right in the new ordinance is gonna be having the zoning kind of hand in hand, to be able to enforce some of it and all that stuff. And that was a big part of it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be, the two we were talking about, the two committees, SBR, FEMA, long-term recovery, what we're doing with the zoning, they all kind of work together because, we could very easily get in the weeds with, but it's actually this type of business, not that type of business, so why can't I do it? and stuff like that. And I think, you know, the FEMA workshop, that's gonna open our eyes up to where we can actually do some stuff.
Right.
We kinda know, although we don't know, but I think we'll figure it out. The main streets are kinda like, you know, that's into the unknown for us at this point.
Yeah,
So we gotta start looking at higher ground. Okay, now we're found some places maybe we can do some stuff. What kind of zoning do we wanna apply? And, you know, do we, you know, you also have property rights, you know, well, I'm only here 6 months of the year, I wanna be able to short-term rental it, you know, that kind of thing. And so that's kind of why I said what I said earlier about the grant stuff for other planning. We got 3 balls we're gonna be juggling right now.
yeah.
And on top of that, we gotta revisit the town plan to get it done, because I think we got till what, October? Ultimately,
Yeah,
so we gotta finish that. So I think we don't need, I mean, those other planning things could help us, but I think it's gonna be kind of a distraction. That's my personal feeling on it.
So you kind of feel like, sorry,
no, go ahead.
you feel like don't really apply for any grants until you have a good plan for that money to be used on. And like a.
Well,
I mean, you gotta show what your money's gonna be
Yeah.
putting for it anyway, so,
Right.
I mean, but
Yeah,
I
if it
mean,
would
for
help
us to
with
do it in like,
assistance on the town plan, people doing the census and stuff like that, maybe it's a good idea. You know what I mean?
And I think that may have been what
You know-
Will was trying to,
Yeah, it's not necessarily us, but it's the other, you know, companies or whoever we might use to help us with the new town plan. You know, that money would go towards that.
I'm sure they would love to get it.
but yeah, I'm
You know,
certainly
but
not,
they're also, that's what they do for a living too, so we would be hiring them, you know.
I'm certainly not saying get a grant to
Right.
chase down a
Just
dream.
waste
no, I
money.
mean, I'm gonna look into it, because, I mean, like I said, it's a deadline of like end of March,
Well, yeah, but back that up.
and it has to go through the select board and
60
everything
something
else,
days.
so
Yeah.
I'm gonna say there's a probably 85% chance that nothing's gonna happen this go around. But it'll be good to go down that rabbit hole
No.
for next year, so then,
Well,
you know,
because the
we're good.
FEMA stuff will be more in place, the bylaws will be more in place, and
I guess what I'm saying is, at this point, we've got a lot of questions, we've got a lot of unknowns, and it's always very tempting to say, oh, there's money, let's go get it. But if we don't have anything specific to use it for,
No,
Yeah, I agree.
mean,
I think there's no
we're
point in
with you,
wasting money
Steve.
just because it's somebody's money.
Yeah,
our
it's somebody's
people
money,
just
it's
tax
coming
it.
from the taxpayers somehow,
well,
so
it could have been our money.
Well, it could be anybody, you know, it's fed.
The,
I don't wanna waste money.
I don't either. I think we should.
I think we're all budget savvy right
Yeah.
here, so we're not gonna be frivolously spending
right.
on anything. So,
I understand what you're saying, Steve.
we're with
I,
you.
Yeah.
I just think our experience with it over the last few years has been, it's 50-50, you know, good, bad,
Some people
whatever.
love it, some people don't.
I-
It's been a lot of money. How much was it? It's over 60 now with the 3 grants?
Yeah. Is that
Over,
what that?
yeah,
60,000 and
yeah,
what
22,
have we
22,
got?
and 22.
Couple ideas.
And one firm was 2 of those,
right.
so that was
They got
40,
40.
yeah, something.
They did the both plans,
The,
right?
the north and the
The
south.
north and the south. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm with you. I hear you.
No, we're all on board
I
with
think
you,
we have a
Steve.
good plan if we're gonna go for it, not just willy-nilly say, hey, let's get this money, then what do we do with the money, you know?
Yeah, with grant
Come
stuff,
up
it's
with-
very fine print, you gotta
Yeah.
prove and, yeah,
Can't just buy nice things with it.
but we deserve nice things.
Was that, you said last time, Megatron?
All right, well, I think we kind of did committee updates and communications, kind of ran through together, so. We good?
Let's adjourn this thing.
Adjourn. Who's in favor?
So who motioned?
Second it.
Brent motioned.
I motion to adjourn. Trevor seconded. We all agreed.
Yep. Aye.
Aye.
Oh, we got through 3.
Yeah.
I know.
That was really